Welcome, everyone, to the Addicts Truth Podcast. This is Recovery Jon. This episode is sponsored by Still Behavioral Health. Very grateful and excited to talk to Marci. Marci, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Well, I can't wait to hear your story. I've started to look at your stuff a lot, and I was intrigued right away. A mix of the way you talk, the topics, the perspectives you have. So let's give the audience a little bit of just a background of, who you are and what your story looked like.
Yeah.
Maybe the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I'm old. That would be really long. So,
Yeah, right.
Listen, in my childhood, I came from a lot of abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, abandonment. My mother had me really young. She was an alcoholic, lived with my grandparents. There was a lot of anger in the home. And my grandfather was an alcoholic. My father was out of the picture. And my mother's boyfriend beat me when I was about 6 years old. And I ended up living with my grandparents till I was 12. At 12, I thought life was going to be amazing, that I was going to be back with my mom, and we're going to have this incredible man, and I'm going to have a father now. And about 6 months in, the sexual abuse started. And that was 7th grade. My mother did not divorce him until after my junior year of high school. I used alcohol a lot to cope during that time. And my mother did know, and she didn't leave. And she ended up saying that he wasn't going to do it anymore. I ended up blocking out several years of being in the home. So I don't think anything happened after about 15, but I couldn't really tell you because I don't really know. And obviously I'm saying this in a pretty quick manner. I share in depth in my book, Chaos to Clarity. But after I finally got out of the house and was on my own, I was about 17, 18, and I was like, I couldn't wait to get out of the house. And that's when the partying really started. Like, I partied on the weekends, but I started getting into the club scene. Then it was drugs and alcohol. And at that point, I didn't care about much of anything. I didn't care about myself much. I was in really negative relationships, and that was something that happened in high school and happened in the majority of my life because I didn't know how to be in a relationship. I didn't know what real love looked like. I had no self-worth. I had a lot of shame, a lot of guilt about what happened. I thought all I really had to offer was what was on the inside, and I would be a chameleon. So it was kind of like whatever you wanted me to be, just so I could get attention or love. And that was pretty detrimental in a lot of ways for me. And I didn't know how to be treated. Yelling, abusive relationships were normal for me. I didn't know anything different. So finally, I ended up going to college. I started off in junior colleges. And I say colleges because I did a few of them. Had no direction. It was really, again, just another escape. I had every intention of going to school and started trying to make something of myself. But I didn't know who that was or what that looked like because I hadn't had any guidance. I was just really trying to survive. And I ended up going back to my grandmother's house. And I should say that I was living in Houston at that time, born and raised in Houston. Went to Blinn Junior College, went to Sam Houston College, a junior college. But as I was doing this, still partying, working in restaurants, and my grandmother finally recognized after my third try of going to school that that was not going to work for me. So she took me in for some testing and discovered that what really lit me up and where I was strongest was in the creative realm. And they offered like some different types of schools that would probably work better for me. And ultimately, I ended up at the Art Institute of Houston in music and video business. So thankfully, I couldn't believe it. I went through the program, I graduated, and now I'm on my career path of television. I started an internship in Paramount 20. I then ultimately got a job with Liberty Sports Communication in Houston, which ran all the regional sports networks across the United States. During this time, I will say, drinking every day, right? Sometimes worse than others. But it was very normal for me to have a couple glasses of wine every night, drink more on the weekends. Sometimes I would drink if I were on my own. I would drink more during the week. So I was doing all of this. I was on a good trajectory, but still harming myself by drinking alcohol. Still sick from the abuse, pushing it down, just trying to get ahead, right? Trying to create a life for myself. So once I got a job at Liberty Sports Communications, at this time, I'm probably like 24, 25 years old, started off in operations, moved into programming for Fox Sports Regional called Fox Sports Rocky Mountain, which was Prime Sports Rocky Mountain. When Fox and Liberty merged, it changed to Fox Sports Rocky Mountain. My boss at that time ended up getting sick. I had only been an assistant for about 3 months. Now I had to take on that role, and it was sink or swim. So I will say through all of this, one of the biggest things that I've learned, like I realize now kind of like a superpower, is that I was going to survive. If I wanted something, I was going to make it happen. So I jumped in with both feet, again, drinking every day. So I still wonder like what my life would have been like if I hadn't been drinking during that time. Like, wow. But I ended up through a series of interviews and going through that process, ended up getting the job ultimately because my boss never came back. He was very sick. And so I became the regional manager for Fox Sports Rocky Mountain, was moved to Denver. At that time, I brought the guy that was with me in Houston. I was going to break it off. But I was kind of playing the role like, okay, you come with me. Yeah, we'll look for a house, kind of playing along. But when I moved, I wasn't going to take him with me. And he ended up asking me to marry him. So I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm supposed to do this. So I ended up moving to Denver, had the job as the regional manager, Fox Sports Rocky Mountain, in programming, and was engaged. Now, I struggled a lot, even though I was doing well in school, in work, I was struggling a lot. I was unhappy in my relationship, unhappy in life, unhappy with myself. And it was a really difficult time. And even though everything looked good on paper, I was a mess and I was not happy. So what I ultimately decided to do, and this is what I would do, right? Change people, places, things to try to get happy, thinking that would make me happy. I broke off my engagement 6 weeks before the wedding. I got a job in LA. I got the company. I made a major decision to take a step back, go to another network in LA because I wanted to get to corporate. Because if I wanted to, move up the ranks, I needed to get to corporate. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take a step back, and then I will I'll get a promotion in a year, and I just want to get moved there. So I was moved to LA and sold my house, broke off the engagement, and again, survival mode, just making a huge change in hopes that I would be happy. Because again, drinking all through this process, very unhappy. And through all this time, going through difficult relationships, used and abused by men, couple of DUIs in there, couple of times trying to get sober. But the idea of never drinking again, when that was all I knew, was absolutely paralyzing and terrifying for me, because that was how I knew how to cope. That's what I knew. My mother drank all the time. My grandfather drank all the time. She showed me at a very young age, like when things weren't going well, have a drink. So this was just entrenched in me. Like that was my way of doing life. So I moved to LA, and I ended up meeting someone about 3 months in. Wasn't looking. I didn't want to have another person in my life. I was always in a relationship because I couldn't do life alone. Because I, again, hated myself, no self-worth, even though I pretended to be very confident. I wasn't. Then I ended up meeting who would ultimately become my husband. And I ended up pretty quickly becoming director of on-air promotions for FX. So again, here life is looking good and people may think it's good, but I was struggling all the time. And I didn't know how to cope with things, like always yelling, very volatile. I was set off very easily, always playing the victim, just because of my circumstances. I mean, I became a victim when I was young, and that's the way I did life. I never did anything wrong, really. It was everybody else or a circumstance that was harming me. So ultimately, my husband and I, we got married. At this time, I'm probably like 32, have our first child in LA. I leave work to raise our child, stay home. And my husband has a job opportunity in New York. So we ended up moving to New Jersey. And he's from New Jersey. So I was very excited about it. I was very lonely in LA, even though I loved my bubble living in Manhattan Beach. It was amazing. But I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get some help. Because now as a mom, my main priority was to never allow my children to feel like I did, never feel abandoned, to feel loved. And so that was just my main focus, to always be there for my child. But when I moved to New Jersey, I was like, now my husband and I maybe can start, exploring a little bit, going to the city. Well, I got pregnant right away with our second child. And for anyone out there that's listening, I did stop drinking during my pregnancies. Thankfully, our bodies, for the most part, won't allow us to do things like that, and nor did I want to. Maybe in the end, I might have had a little bit of wine here and there, but I didn't want to drink. But it was immediately after I had my babies, I would start drinking again. And it was hard. During that time, I was very lonely. My husband worked all the time. It was hard raising the kids on my own. I became resentful in a lot of ways, having to do this on my own and feeling very overwhelmed, trying to make a new life, as, once again, trying to make a new life for myself. And so it was hard. It was a hard time. Now, fast forward, I'm in my 40s. I decide I've always worked in television again, remember? And I love being a mom, but I've always been driven to do something, especially creatively. Like that's what keeps me happy for myself. So I decided there were a couple things that happened. I was in this runway show for a fundraiser and such, and it reignited this passion that I had when I was a teenager to want to be a model. So I put it out in the universe. People started coming into my life that could help me with this. Got agents in the city in New York. I'm 25 miles outside of the city. So I start pursuing this dream. Now, while things were happening pretty easily for me, meaning I was getting the agents, I was getting people that were coming into my life that could help me in areas, whether it was getting photos or whatever it was. Now I started getting the auditions. I will never forget going into my first audition. I have never perspired so much. I don't perspire, not even when I work out, really. But I was a disaster. And what came out for me during this time was an extreme sense of feeling judged, having absolutely no self-confidence, and plus now I'm in my 40s. So as I had told you, my only worth for me was what I had to offer on the outside. And now I'm in my 40s. So that was very hard for me. So I started getting schooling in the city. I had to be available for the auditions. And then if the gigs came up, I mean, it was a hell of a roller coaster ride. And now trying to be with my kids and not wanting someone else to raise my kids. I wanted to be there and trying to balance it all. And again, my husband not being around, my drinking started really elevating at this time. I started using wine as my liquid courage. Started off with maybe a glass of wine before I would leave the house to go to the city. Then it was filling a thermos and convincing myself, please don't drink it before you get to the city because you're driving. But then I would have drank it and gone through the audition. Maybe I would have gone to lunch after, had wine, or whatever the case may be. This all started spiraling out of control, hiding my drinking. It was just, life was starting to go off the rails. My husband was extremely unhappy. I was extremely unhappy. The fighting between my husband and I got really, really bad. And ultimately what happened was I went for a modeling gig, and there were a series of events that happened that day. I didn't think I was going to use my liquid courage. Ended up at the wrong mall to model these clothes. So now I'm in a panic. I get in the car. I down my thermos of wine. I get to the gig, walk the show. Then afterwards, I go to lunch with my friend. Now I'm drinking a martini, barely eating because, right, I'm drinking all my calories. And I ended up getting a DUI. And I was 45 years old. And I went to bed a victim, angry, ashamed, hurt. Why has this happened to me? And then when I woke up the next day, October 4th, just something shifted for me. And I knew that I had to make a change. I had tried to get sober a year before, but I started comparing my story. I didn't believe it wholeheartedly like I did at this point. I mean, it was like I was done. And I was willing to do whatever it took. And I went downstairs. I told my husband, and I was very fearful that he was going to leave, take the kids. I didn't know. But when I told him that I had a problem, I was an alcoholic and I needed help, he ended up embracing me. And he showed me love that I'd been seeking my whole entire life. And I felt like the weight of the world came off my shoulders. I didn't have to lie anymore. And I just fully surrendered at that point, and I was ready to do what I needed to do.
Well, and now 10 years sober.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to touch on two things that's
Yeah.
all right that really stood out to me. I mean, otherwise it's amazing what we're doing now. We're going to talk about being an author and your own show.
Mm-hmm.
But one was that I touch on a lot that people get, I guess, because you'd say I don't look like a criminal drug addict. Like
Yeah.
some people think I think like a college kid or a normal white kid. But talking about the success, so I had some success and like kept jobs more than others during, but like you see the people that struggle the most, I think,
Mm-hmm.
or like you said, you weren't like getting arrested every day or something, like you were achieving things,
Yeah.
but no one knew inside that you weren't happy.
Right.
You know, I think that's such a story for so many people.
100%.
It's just so many people that ask me for help end up, when I do say you need rehab, detox, AA, whatever, something,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, but I pay my rent. I'm like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
does not mean you don't want to jump off the roof of it. I
Yeah.
was like, that doesn't mean anything. So I love that you really touched on that, you know, people can be a mom and still
Yeah.
be an addict or alcoholic. They're like, well, I have kids. I'm like,
You know how many moms are out there drinking
Yeah.
a bottle of wine,
yeah,
suffering, so afraid?
yeah,
I mean, it's terrifying because you know inside that what you're doing, or you're questioning, is this right? Is it wrong? Am I drinking too much? Am I reacting this way because of the drinking, right?
mm,
Is it my past? Like you don't know. You feel so lost.
mhm,
And you're so afraid to admit, one, that you need help, to acknowledge that you need help in some way, right? To say, I'm an alcoholic, right? Like it's just the stigma that goes with that. Right? And that's why I do the work I do today, because we've got to change that. Like, because so many of us are suffering. Mental health and substance use disorder are like #1 disease in the country.
yeah. But everyone's afraid to say that they got it. It's like no one's really afraid to say they have cancer, but the stigma with addiction is,
And it is
You know.
a disease.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. No, that's what started all my stuff, was just my friends kept dropping like flies, like from overdose and stuff. And I was like, most of these people would have got help if there
Yeah.
wasn't a stigma.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't I just
That's
put my
it.
face all over it and show
Yeah.
like you'll be okay if you say you're an addict or an alcoholic, you know?
Mhm.
So, excuse me. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that you do that a lot, because I think it's good to see, not that someone that, you know, does look from a rougher lifestyle or have a worse story isn't helping people as well.
Yeah.
But being like, you know, I still had a job, or I still look clean cut, but I
Yeah.
had just as much of a problem as anyone else.
Yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what it's still. Then when people read my book, they're like, "Oh God, you do have issues," and I'm like, "Yeah, don't." So I look normal or play some sports does not
Yeah.
make me normal.
Exactly.
And the other part is the victim part. I mean, when I
Mhm.
talk with someone, whether it's a close friend or something, I tell them the biggest thing I learned is like, you know, I had a mentor that always be like, "You're not that important," like, you know, and you probably had a bigger role to play in it than you thought. Because I was the same way. It was always poor me, and he's
Mhm.
always said, "Poor me is gonna kill you."
Yeah.
And I mean, I hear it in friends and people that ask for help. It's always like, oh, and sure, like trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, there are things that do happen to you.
Yeah.
But 90% is what we do to ourselves, I think. So I like that you say that.
Yeah, and I'll have to tell you that being aware of our role in our relationships or anything that happens in life is life-changing, because the only control we have is the change that we make for ourselves. We only have control of what happens to ourselves. We can't change anyone else. And just understanding why somebody else might have done something, and realize it has absolutely nothing to do with you half the time. And the forgiveness, it's just, I work a lot on emotional intelligence, and it has been incredibly life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that when people ask, like, what's the biggest part of my sobriety or blessing? I mean, sure, parents, like good family relationships, money, success, all the different things. But the biggest thing is, I think that I tell people, just being able to navigate a relationship, a problem, a
Yeah.
loss, like a rainy
There's
day.
peace.
Yeah,
There's
like
peace in it
there's
now.
just acceptance, and it's like I could still deal with it, you know?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just like before, like we were talking before I got here, right?
Yeah.
I'm running late. My dog gets loose, chasing a deer, all in the neighborhood. Now, if I had been drinking, I would have been freaking out. Poor me. Oh my God, dog's gonna die. Oh my God, like the worst case scenario. And who knows? I may have even grabbed a glass of wine.
And drink more. Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
I
Yeah.
might have.
Exactly. Yeah, but you don't need to.
This morning,
Yep.
honestly, it's like, all right, I called the police.
Mhm.
He has a collar on, has my number.
Mhm.
If he dies, if he gets run over by a car, that's going to be awful. Like, I mean, I thought about the scenarios, but it didn't destroy me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't have control of the outcome of what is going to happen.
Mhm.
And I fully believed that it would be okay.
Yeah.
And a few minutes later, I got a call from a woman. He had walked up to her in a garage.
Really, look at that. See?
Yeah. So I just don't worry about things I don't have control of anymore. I can't worry about it. And I just view life so differently now. And it's, oh my God, it's so freeing.
Yeah, that's a lot of peace. And my sponsor always says, complete acceptance will find you peace, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
anything that I was mad about was because it wasn't the way I saw it should happen. And that
Exactly.
would drive me insane.
Exactly.
You know?
But isn't it now like so nice? Like everything's about solution oriented, or you just don't react, you respond, you pause. Like it's such a nice way of life.
It is. I was joking with my friends the other day. I was like, I've been single for like 6 months again and dating for 6 months. And I was like, I'm mostly proud of myself. Just like, it's messy navigating dating these days. You have, apps, social media, girls reaching out different ways. So it could just get messy. So, and I'm big on doing the right thing. So it almost stresses me, like dating, like it's like different options. It's like too much. But I'm like, I'm grateful, like even things that come and go, that like I could just handle them respectfully these days and accept it and not freak out or hate someone or ruin their life over it. You know, just be like, listen, this is what it is. Just being able to handle stuff is like a huge blessing, that intelligence from sobriety.
Isn't it so amazing also, like you said, blessings, gratitude. I live in that constantly and I feel it. And let me tell you, the life I've attracted today is just beyond different than what I did before. I mean, it was my book, Chaos to Clarity. I lived in chaos all the time, right? Yeah. And that was the comfort zone for me. I didn't know any way else. And so if there was a moment of peace, I mean, I was trying to find a way to get.
That was scary.
Get chaos, because I literally would want to crawl out of my skin. Yeah. Now, it's peace, or I can't have you in my life. I can't deal with it, right? It's completely, life is so much more manageable and it's so beautiful. And living in gratitude is a fabulous way to live.
It is, absolutely. Let's talk about, we get to the end, what you're doing now, what you have upcoming. Definitely touch on where they could find the book as well, Chaos to Clarity. And let us know. Okay,
awesome. Chaos to Clarity is on Amazon, Goodreads. You can go to my website, wakeupwithmarci.com. Everything's there. And that's my memoir. It's a self-help book to help you really putting down the drink. I share how 12 steps helped me, what I learned through those steps. But the biggest part of my book is about shifting your mindset and thinking a different way in life, growing in spirituality, recognizing a higher power in your life. These were all pivotal, life-changing things for me. And so I share a lot about that. So how you can just start finding some peace in your life. I'm also writing another book. I'm toying with a name. I think it's going to be Wake Up, You're Not Broken. And it's a companion for your first 30 days of sobriety. I'm going to have pre-order available. So I'd love to give you the link. And another big thing, and I'd love you to be a part of it even if you could, is there's Shatterproof is an organization that's huge in the recovery space, changing laws, helping mandate in rehabs like the type of recovery that is science-based, that really works, changing the narrative and the stigma around addiction And I've been asked they have these big walks that they do across the United States. So I think they have 6 big walks, and they've asked me to MC 2 of the walks. October 25th is in New York City, and one in LA, November 8th. Those are the 2 that I'm going to be a part of, and I'm putting together a team. So I'm really excited. I think I got a few people in the recovery space that will be a part of my team, which I'm super excited about. And just doing my motivational speaking, trying to really want to help women and young women too, to know their worth, find their confidence, move past that stress and overwhelm, and not grab a glass of wine or a pill to get through it. Like really getting to the root of why they are grabbing that glass of wine and finding other ways to cope, other ways to manage life in a much more positive way. And then I have my podcast, Wake Up with Marci, which was a TV show. I actually retired that TV show. It was on WLNY and other CBS networks around the country. But just lifestyle change. So now I'm in the podcast world with Wake Up with Marci, focusing on mental health, addiction, recovery, women's health, transitional stories.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to read it when it comes out. I've been since we spoke. I've been watching your clips of your podcast, and it's great stuff. So go check it out if you haven't seen it. In the bottom of the video on YouTube and linked in the TikTok, we will put all the links for your website, podcast, book, Instagram. And yeah, I mean, let me know however it can help with the walk or anything like that. I think it'd be great to collab in the future. And
I would love that.
Can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, thank you for all you do in the space. And it's us sharing our stories that it's going to create the ripple effect and allow others to share on our platforms, because we've got to change the way people think about this disease. We for so long have been told we have to be quiet, and our families, it's shameful, but we're going to stay sick in the shame. We've got to talk.
That's the biggest thing. I love that about you already. That's what has pioneered my entire thing. Wasn't get views, wasn't like anything, wasn't money. It was like people are dying because they won't ask for help, and I know that's why I hid, and probably why you hid for so many years. Because it's like, I can't say I'm an alcoholic. I can't say I'm an addict. Like, people judge me forever. And oddly enough, now people ask us to sign our books because of it. So I try to tell people that all the time. I was like, that might be what I believe God puts you through things so you can help other people.
100%.
So it's just, it's really cool that you do that. That's really, attracts me to your work, because people just need that, like, someone to walk that path before them to say, oh, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
And the amount of people, I was responding to comments last night, and someone was like, that's not true. You can't just walk away and get help. And I'm like, also the uneducation, like there's FMLA, I was like, there's so many ways to go about getting help that, are actually also quiet too, privacy legally. Yeah. But beyond that, you can still hold your kids or your house. It's only, a certain amount of time you need help for. So that's a big thing to educate them. And
100%.
Yeah.
Education's power, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah. So I can't wait to see the book. Glad we connected, see how we work in the future. And check her out, Marci. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Looking forward to everything. Thank you so much. And guys, thank you for listening to the Addicts Truth Podcast. Check all links in the bottom to connect with Marci. Check out her podcast and her book. And thank you for listening. Again, this is sponsored by Still Behavioral Health. And we will see you on the next episode.